Are you an architect or design professional that's struggling to attract enough of the right clients and projects? Then stick around, because I'm joined by leading architect marketing coach Richard Petrie to explain how you can build a marketing system that consistently attracts more of the right clients to your practice in this episode of Architecture Business Club, the weekly podcast for small firm founders who want to build their dream business in architecture and enjoy more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment in what they do. I'm John Clayton, your host. Having spent over 20 years working in architecture, I know how hard it can be to explain your services so people truly understand and value what you do. Many firms struggle with this, but by sharing your stories on podcasts, you can become the trusted voice in your market, grow your brand and attract much better clients. We can help you with everything from podcast strategy and launch, production and management, podcast hosting and guesting, through to promoting and growing your show. If you'd like to discover how podcasting could benefit your business, click the link in the show notes to book a no obligation chat about working with me. Or if you're interested in being a guest on this show, email John, that's Jon, at architecturebusinessclub.com. Now, let's learn how to build your marketing system. Richard Petrie is the world's foremost architect marketing coach and the co-founder of the Architect Marketing Institute, a leading provider of marketing training and resources for small firm architects and building designers. Their mission is to enable motivated architects to find freedom and fulfillment through exceptional projects and exceptional income. Richard brings a high-performance mindset to marketing for his architect clients all around the world, and is joining us on this episode to share his expertise. To find out more about the system that Richard uses, head over to archmarketing.org. Richard, welcome to Architecture Business Club.
Oh, nice to be in the club. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh.
From the other side of the world as well. I'm in the UK and you're over in New Zealand. And with the wonders of modern technology, it's not a problem for us to meet up.
Not a problem. The world is becoming a global marketplace. We can do whatever we want, whenever we want, can't we? So I think it's about 8:30 at night here, and it's morning for you. So,
Absolutely.
10 years ago, I remember I started doing this. We were doing webinars and things like that. About 15 years ago, I started doing this type of thing. And back then, we had to explain what a webinar was. And said, well, it's on the web and it's like a seminar, but just click on the buttons and turn up and you'll see what it is when you get here. And it was literally that when we started. And now it's like, it's commonplace. But 15 years ago, we were doing it way back then, and it was a little bit weird for most architects. Mind you, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
so I suppose that, that is some time.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you were early adopters, I guess, with a lot of this stuff. So, but now we're using it all the time. Richard, we've got some great stuff that we're going to talk about today. Before we dig into all that, something that I do know about you, you were a top-level international cricket player. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I played professional cricket in New Zealand for 12 years, and I played 12 one-day internationals for New Zealand. So it's the 50-over game. Played against England a few times. Got out Gooch and Gower. So some of your members.
I won't hold that against you.
But they were pretty good bats, Gooch and Gower. And we played Australia, played Sri Lanka, played South Africa, and that was pretty much it. And then I had stress fractures in my back and a torn partial rupture of my Achilles tendon, and that was kind of the end of my international career. But it was fun while it lasted.
Oh, absolutely, and it brought you to the beautiful county of Lancashire, my home county in the UK at some point during that career.
That's right. Yeah, no, I pro'd for one of the clubs in Lancashire, and loved it up there. Actually, a lot more. The northern clubs are more community based, and everyone comes and watches and drinks at the bar afterwards, and so I loved it up in Lancashire. Really, really loved it. It was probably my favourite cricket season. I probably had about 6 or 7 seasons overseas, but Lancashire was probably the most enjoyable one.
Oh, and I'm sure you're not just saying that just because I'm from Lancashire, are you?
No, we had a great team, and the people were great. There, a lot of characters there, but and we won the league, which helps too. So that probably helped the whole vibe of the summer.
Absolutely. Sounds fantastic. Yeah. We're going to talk about how to build a marketing system so that architects and other building designers, they can consistently attract more of the right clients. So I'm really excited to talk about this today. It's going to be a great topic. So let's begin with looking at some of the challenges. So what would you say that the challenges that architects generally face in winning the right types of projects?
Yeah, well, the most common sort of complaints I hear on a daily basis would be not enough leads, not enough, the phone's not ringing enough. That would be one. Another one would be we're getting inquiries coming in, but they're the wrong type of inquiries. They're not the type of projects we want. And I read a stat the other day, not long ago actually, and it said that only 5% of the buildings built have an architect sort of fully involved in it. So, most projects don't, which is probably why a lot of the people ringing up, they're not really, they either don't have the budget or they'll pick your brains and they'll chew up some time, but they end up doing it with a draftsperson or do it themselves, or a builder will say they'll do it for free. So there's a lot of frustration around the quality of leads. Marketing doesn't generally work for architects or designers. Not the traditional type of marketing. So you follow stuff that you see online and you can be very frustrated and you can lose a lot of money by doing stuff that doesn't work. The final one I would say would be you've done design, fee resistance. How do you feel about, people questioning your fees? Someone said there's no other profession in the world that has their fees questioned more than architecture and design. Right, and it's probably true. You don't go to a lawyer, an accountant, or a doctor and go to the doctor. You're going to have to sharpen your pencil on that, doctor, before you do my heart operation. And he goes, I don't think I do actually. I think you need to hurry up, sign the check. You need to get into the operating theatre. So poor old architects, fees being challenged, not enough good quality work, and how do you differentiate yourself when there's a lot of other people who are highly trained? You guys, a lot of the architects who get qualified, you've been working for 5 or 7 years getting your qualifications or studying or at least 3 or 4. And there's a lot of those people around. So how do you differentiate yourself? So there is lots of challenges for the industry, shall we say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned there was not having enough leads coming in, not having enough of the right type of leads coming in. You also mentioned there about that statistic. That was actually really surprising, that statistic you just mentioned. Only 5% of buildings that get built have had an architect involved right through that. And I mean, that's quite shocking in itself. Quite a shocking statistic. But again, you
drive around, you look at the buildings, you can tell. It looks about right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think though that it makes sense though that with a lot of those inquiries that potentially have been coming in, that there's maybe a misalignment with some of the architects and the practitioners, their expectations of what level of service that these potential leads are looking for versus actually how many of them are going to be those high quality projects where they do want somebody right the way throughout the whole thing. And obviously more of the right type of leads is what we want, isn't it, ideally?
Well, you're talking about 5%. So that's what you want calling you, but you're going to get probably the top 50% calling you. So there certainly needs to be a bit of filtering and qualifying going on, because it's very frustrating if you can't either attract enough of the right ones, or you can't. The other danger is that you think everybody that calls you up is a proper prospect and is worthy of investing 5 to 10 hours in to see if there's a project there. And in most of the cases, or many of the cases, there either isn't a project that really requires a top quality designer, or the budget's completely inadequate, or the expectations from the client are not really what you want to be doing. So I would kind of think that you need to be very clear about what a yes client or what a yes project is. You need to get quite specific about that for you. You also need to be really clear on what a no project is for you. And you need to have the questions that tell you whether they fit here or here, because you need to be able to sort that out quite quickly. And if you can do that, I guess that's part of the problem. But you also need enough of the yeses coming through, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to say no if you've got enough of those leads coming in the first place, because then like you can, if you're going to stick your flag in the ground and say, we want to become known for this type of work, this is what we're going to do. Yep. Like you say, you've got to have enough leads coming in the first place to be able to use that filter to filter out those leads that aren't so great a fit for you. Interesting. That is really interesting. And the last thing you mentioned was about the fees as well. That is so true. Yeah. I can't remember the last time I went to the dentist or I went to get my car fixed or whatever and I challenged that. But it is something that we often get challenged on. And I think something as well, Richard, I don't know if you feel this, but there's a lot of architects out there that are sole practitioners. That actually kind of makes up a biggest proportion of practices out there is single person, micro-sized practices. And often as creatives, we get so emotionally attached to the work that we do, and we can take it really personally. If somebody's like pushing back, and it might just be that they're just a lead that's falling into that bigger percentage that are just actually not a great fit for what you offer. But that is something that is definitely another one of those huge challenges. So,
and if you don't have enough leads coming through, then you end up feeling you have to try and win all of those no client. You feel you have to win the no clients as well, and it's just a death spiral. Then if you feel overwhelmed and you're doing too many projects, you're doing too many no projects. And I don't think most architects don't really have a problem winning projects. They have a problem winning enough of the right projects, and that's the problem. If you imagine you've got a bag of different coloured lollies, and really the green lollies are the good ones. But most architects and designers have all a mixed bag, and all you really the big picture is, this is easy to say, but what we need is half the bag needs to be green lollies, and we'll be fine. So then it comes down to, okay, well, how do I get enough of the green? Let's say green ones are the really good ones to make it really simplified. You're going to have to find a system or a method or a way. This is the answer, that you're looking for, to attract enough of the green ones where you're comfortable. You go, yeah, okay, well, I've got enough of the green ones coming through. You need to have it's supply and demand. You need more greens coming through than you can handle so that you can start saying no. Because I don't think any firm is going to be a successful firm until you get to the stage of being able to say no.
So having more demands than supply.
Yes, and I know what you're going to ask next. How do we do that? And we'll get into that. But that is the secret. We need to know what the right ones are. We need to know how to attract them to us in such quantity that we can be a little bit more fearless about our pricing. We can be a little more fearless about saying no to people. If people have inadequate budgets or question our fees, we don't care. I haven't got time to take all of you on anyway, and I don't really want you. So if you think I'm too expensive, I think you're right. There are plenty of other architects or designers out there who are a lot cheaper than me, and I think they would be a better fit for you.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and it nicely segues onto what I was going to ask next, because we've really laid out all of those challenges there. I'm sure that if you're listening to this, you're going to relate to a lot of this stuff if you're an architect or you're in practice for sure. The good news is that there is a lot we can do to solve and address these challenges, which is what we're going to cover now. So, Richard, let's look at things from a high-level point of view. What high-level strategies do you recommend that we should be thinking about when setting up a marketing system that's going to address and solve some of these challenges that architects are often facing?
Right. Well, that's the first thing. You said the word system. So we need something which is systematic. we need something which is reliable and predictable and brings us more of the type of projects coming towards us than we can handle. So a system or a method or a way. So one key thing when you're thinking about a system, one is a system is systematic. It's step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's you run a set routine, let's say every month. So get the idea of you need a system in there. The second thing is, if you're going to do marketing, the only real type of marketing that works generally, there's a generalization, is when you target one type of project at a time. So, it's cool. Most people have heard of niche marketing, and the analogy would be, if I'm a fisherman and I went out, and I live down here in New Zealand, so I'm on the Pacific Ocean. And if I went out on a boat and I had a fishing rod and some bait and a hook, and I just went out into the Pacific Ocean somewhere, dropped my line, chances are I'll catch nothing. And if I do catch something, I've got a bite. It's probably something I don't want to eat. So think of marketing like fishing. I need to say, right, what are the type of fish I want to catch? And we talked about the green projects, but let's say in this case, there's a type of fish in New Zealand called blue cod. I don't know if you get it up there, but blue cod is great fish. So if I go, right, blue cod is the type of fish I want. Now everything reverse engineers back from blue cod. Right, where do I find blue cod? I could go to North Canterbury and I could go off the coast there, because there's blue cod in North Canterbury. There's blue cod in the Sounds at the top of the North Island. It's not everywhere, so I have to go certain places. I have to have the right type of bait, which is suitable for blue cod. I have to have the right hook. I have to be in the right location. Yeah, I everything is geared up for. I've got a fishing rod and a location that's geared up for blue cod and blue cod only. If I go anywhere, I'm not going to catch blue cod. So that's the same analogy for trying to catch a specific type of project. You need to work out what are the projects that are my green projects or my blue cod projects. Right, now we go to town. Where are they? What sort of bait do I need? What sort of hook do I need? How do I reel them in? We can go into detail on it. I know you want to go into specifics on this as well. But that's the metaphor to think of. It's fishing. And if you go to this ocean to try and catch anything, you'll probably catch nothing, or you'll catch the wrong thing. And that's what you guys are doing with your marketing, is you're doing very broad marketing. You're effectively going out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, probably the North Sea or something, and you're wondering why no one's biting or the wrong type of fish are biting. That's why. You've got to think of fishing.
I love that analogy. I can visualize that, and that just makes it really easy to understand. And when you put it in those words, it just totally makes sense.
Yeah, if you want trout, you're going to have to go to certain rivers, and you've got a different fishing rod. You've got a fly fishing rod. You've got fly. You haven't got a hook. You're not going to catch trout with your other, So everything has to be geared up. It's a custom fishing rod to catch a specific type of fish.
So if we can get really clear on the types of clients and projects, really specific about the types of projects we want to be working on, and then we can reverse engineer everything else from that to make sure that we're using the right gear, the right setup, if you will, the right systems.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. Could we talk a bit about offers? Yeah. Could we lead onto that? Because I know that there's a few different types of offers that you talk about, Richard, that fit into this marketing system that we build out. So once we're clear on who it is that we're looking to work with, the type of projects, we've got to have the right offer for them, haven't we? How can we create offers that people really want to talk to us about?
Good question. Well, that's kind of like our bait, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's our bait. So, but before we get to the bait, there's something else I want to bring up, and that is that you think about clients or fish, let's say clients, as they're moving through their journey of wanting to do a project ultimately with an architect, right? They go through a number of different stages. To start with, they're a little bit uncomfortable with their space, and it doesn't really work for us anymore. Or we don't have a space and we need a space, okay? So those people are kind of, in the early stages, they're in information gathering mode. They're not ready to hire an architect. They're not ready to spend £1 million on building something, but they are interested in it and they are in information gathering mode, right? So okay, that's cool. If that's one stage, we'll need an offer for them, right? Then once they've gathered some information, they go, okay, we've got a few ideas and we've got a rough idea of what we can and can't do. Then they start saying, well, okay, now we've got this piece of land or we've got this building. What are some general things that we can do with this space? I've got some broad, I've got information gathering, but I need to sort it out to narrow it down a bit. So I need some general information. And they might go to a builder or they might go to an architect and go, look what we got here. What can we do? Or we've got some ideas. Are these feasible? And so that's another stage they get into, right? Where they're asking for sort of general advice. And then now they need really specific advice because now they've got a few ideas and they're going, right, we've got some ideas here. Is this feasible? How much will it cost? How long will it take? Who's the best person to hire to do it? So now they're moving into, I need specific advice. I've gone from I need general advice, now I need specific advice. And then they go into, all right, now I need to hire an architect, now I need to hire a builder, now I need to hire, right. So there's the information gathering sort of mode. There's I need general advice to sort my ideas out. Now I need specific advice. Now I need to hire people. Right, now I need a design. And so, okay, so there's several different phases. So what I reckon, and what here's the problem with, I think, what most architects marketing is, when they go and make an offer, it's pretty much, hey, I'm a designer. I'm really good. Look at my portfolio. Hire me. Go to my website. Look at my portfolio. It's like a flasher, which is really only appealing to a very small number of people at the very end of the process who are ready to go right now. And they may be speaking by this point, they may be getting 3 or 4 proposals from different architects. So what I'm saying, nothing wrong with that, but it's a bit late sometimes. I want to be coming into the process earlier. So the 4 offers that I like putting in place, and this is your sales process. We have an educational offer or a range of them. So that these might be tools and resources. We'll just call it a green project, right? Tools and resources for anyone considering doing a green project. You might be asking, how much does it cost to do a green project? How long does it take? What are the steps we have to go through? What do you have to do to get a permit for a green project? Those type of questions. We can create tools and resources for that. Great. Okay, so we can get leads by offering up problem-solving information for people who are doing a green project. Next step, all right, let's say someone downloads my green report. They have to give me their name and email address and phone number, and I'll send that to them. Okay, they've downloaded a green report on what does it cost and how long does it take and what's the process. And then I go, okay, well, if this is something you're interested in and you want some general guidance, you can book a 45 free session with me, and I'll take you through a bit. I'll give you a sort of an action plan on where you should go. Right? I'm not going to give you specific advice. I'm not going to tell you how much it will cost, but I'll have a meeting with you. I'll listen to where you're at, and I'll go, right, your next step is 1, 2, 3. Oh, thanks very much. But I want a meeting, because you need a meeting, right? I need to get them into a meeting. So I'll give them some advice, but then I want to step them up to my next step, which is, okay, if you want me to help you, I've given you 3 things to do. You can do number 1, you can do number 2, but you probably can't do number 3. If you'd like me to do number 3, it'll cost you £1,500, and I'll go and do the research, I'll do the analysis, and I'll come back to you, and I'll do some diagnosis, like a surgeon would do diagnosis before they do an operation, right? Any professional has to do a diagnosis. A lawyer would do, pre-deposition, they call them, doesn't they? And an accountant would do an audit. And a doctor would do a diagnosis. Like all professionals do paid diagnosis. And then I'll do my prescription, which will be, here's what I think your next steps are. Here's your options. Not design yet. Not design. I'll just prescribe. It's like a surgeon wouldn't they'd do a diagnosis and they'd come back and go, right, here's what I found. You've got 3 options. Here's the pros and cons of each option. I recommend option number 3, but it's up to you. What do you think? And they go, yeah, I think number 3 as well. Okay. If you would like, we can move down the option 3 path and I'll, we move into design. But they're paying for me to work out what the best option is, not the design. So this sales process is more of a consultative sales process. You're more like a consultant or a doctor. And what I've discovered is the way most architects will do it is they get a phone call. Hello, yes, I'll come around to your site for free and give you lots of information. Sure, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Turn up at the side, get your brains picked, give away great ideas. Maybe here's a sketch, oh, can I have a copy? Yes, oh, there's the sketch. Can you do a proposal for me? Oh yeah, okay. It was my daughter's birthday this weekend, but I'd much rather spend 10 hours doing a proposal for you than going to my daughter's birthday. Give you the proposal, and then I'm just waiting for you to. And to me, that's more of a sales process, whereas the one I outlined is more of a consulting doctor surgeon type process. I think it's more professional. I know it works better. I know you get paid for doing your diagnosis and prescription instead of doing it for free. It ends up, what you're asking for, the first sale you're asking them for is a small, £1,500 diagnosis, research, analysis exercise that you're going to do for them. Clients, some people will be sitting there and go, oh, my clients wouldn't pay that. They would, the genuine clients who are architect,
the right clients,
the top 5%, would much rather pay $1,500 for you to go and do some diagnosis than commit to your proposal where you're asking them for £500,000. I'd much rather pay $1,500 for you to go and work out what is the best option for me than pay £500,000, which includes your fee. Maybe it's, maybe you've got a £50,000 fee in there. Like, that's high risk. I don't really want to do that, but I'm happy to do the $1,500. And what we found is that once someone commits to the £1,500 job, which is much easier to get a yes for because it's more common sense and it's more in line with what every other professional does. Let's do some diagnosis first. They're 5 times more likely to say yes to you for design than if you're throwing them a proposal and maybe you won a 3 or something like that. And then you often go into a holding pattern where you're waiting for them to give you an answer and they're not answering. It's not just a case of having your marketing right. You've got to have your process right as well.
Remember, don't forget to join the waitlist for our membership community, where you can meet other business owners who want the same thing as you. A thriving business that gives you more freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Just go to architecturebusinessclub.com/waitlist or click the link in the show notes and enter your details so you don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to improve your business and your life. And if you're enjoying the show, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the show. These 4 offers we're talking about. So what we're not talking about is 4 different things that are for people that are all ready to buy. The 4 offers that you've described, they are hitting, each one of them is for a different stage in that client's journey. And they're aligned with how ready they are to buy. Yes. You mentioned that you might have somebody at the very beginning that is not ready to hire an architect. They are information gathering. Right. So there is that first offer, which could be, you mentioned like an informational type product. So that, I guess it could be like a PDF guide. It could be a video masterclass. It could be some kind of resource that you create that you could reuse time and time again. You can share with people. Yep. And then you mentioned then that the next offer is something that's more general advice, wasn't it? The second offer. So that they're kind of like, okay, we're getting more serious about doing this project, this idea. Like, we want to know a little bit more about what this is going to look like, what it's like working with an architect, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then you said the next stage was that you get into the point where you're giving them some more specific advice then. So as we're getting to those 3rd and 4th points, like, we're getting to the point where you mentioned about like the analogy of like a doctor, like a doctor's appointment where there's like an audit or assessment that happens.
Diagnosis.
And
yep.
Diagnosis, doctor's diagnosis, that's the word I was looking for. And you're absolutely right. The conventional way that things happen in most instances is that we have one main offer, which is only really appealing to, I mean, I think statistically they say in any audience, I think it's around about 3% of that audience are typically at the point where they're ready to buy. Right. So we have an offer that's only appealing to 3%. Whereas actually, if we've got these 4 different things in place, we've got offers that are going to appeal to 100%, depending on what stage they're at, that they can tap in and get the right offer. We have the right offer for the right stage that client is at. And during that process, those offers are also going to act as a filter, aren't they? They're going to filter it down so that by the time we get to that 3rd and 4th touch point there, that actually a lot of the clients that were a bad fit, they've already gone elsewhere because we've filtered them out through this process.
Yeah, or the other thing that happens, because some of these people who get on, think of it as getting, you've got a bus going along and we don't care. There's bus stop 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on where they are. We don't care. We'll pick them up on bus stop 1, take them to 2, take them to 3, take them to 4. It may take a year or 2 for some of the people who get on at bus stop number 1 before they do a project. That's fine. If I've got 100 people who have expressed interest in getting on at bus stop number 1 for some problem-solving information, that's all right. I mean, I had 100 of them. Let's say 50 of them never do a project, but over the next 2 years, 50 of them do. Well, that's 2 a month are coming ready. They'll come ready when they're ready. So if I've got a nurturing system, I'm picking people up there. Yes, I'm picking them up for meetings, free meetings. I'm then moving them into a paid meeting, which is the discovery or the diagnosis. Then I'm moving them into design. I don't really care where I pick them up. So what I am doing is I'm helping my marketplace out. I'm giving them 4 different ways that they can be helped. And if they're not ready for 2 years because they keep getting on a bus stop number 1, that's fine. I'll continue to educate them. I'll give them tools, resources. I'll stay in touch with them. When they're ready, they can book that meeting with me, the first one. When they're ready, they'll book the second one. And if I've got enough of these green type of clients in there, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Every one of those offers is custom made to be really, really useful and relevant and valuable for someone looking to do a green project.
It's very specific, isn't it? Yep. And that can only, until you're clear on exactly what type of projects you want to be working on, you've got to do that first, haven't you, in order to then be able to kind of design these other offers and make sure you're providing the right type of information, particularly with the first point where we're looking at something that's like an informational type product. We've got to know exactly what type of thoughts they're having, what type of considerations they're having for that specific type of project to make those digital products or whatever they're going to be.
We generalize to some degree because we do know there are some questions that it doesn't matter what market you're in. How much will it cost? How long will it take? What's the process? Who are the experts I should be connecting with a green project? They're all asking. Yeah, they might say for my green project. Okay, how much does the green project cost? What's the process? How long does it take? Who are the... So we can customize some of it. But for example, I've got a guy in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix? Yeah, Phoenix. And he targeted hillside properties, all right? And I said, well, what, other than the general things that we've always got, is there anything else? And he goes, yeah, well, it's hillside. So most of the people have to do a retaining wall. Oh, right. Okay. That's a good one. So, all right. Well, let's do a report on retaining walls. What do they cost? How long do they take? Who can you recommend? We can do we know that if someone's downloading something on retaining walls for hillside properties in Phoenix, they're thinking of building brand new. Excellent. good bait, good quality bait. And so he picks up.
Good quality bait.
Yeah. And so someone's building a retaining wall who's not thinking of building a fancy property and who's, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be downloading that PDF unless I was that person.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Richard, this leads us nicely on, actually. I was wondering if you could share some more examples of architects or related professionals who've had success with this approach.
Yeah. We've had about 1,200 people go through the program. So, the first architect I ever had was a lady called Mona. So she was in New Zealand, and I said to her, I'd never worked with an architect before, and when she rang up, she said, I don't think this will work for me. She came to a workship I was running in Wellington, and she said, I don't have any money, and I don't think your marketing, I really enjoyed it, but I'm an architect. I don't think it'll work for me. And I didn't know any better, and I said, okay, maybe it won't. And anyway, she hired me, for $10,000, and we'll work together for 6 months, but I wasn't quite sure that she'd sowed the seed of doubt to me. So anyway, I said, I think the first thing we've got to do is we've got to pick a niche market that it doesn't mean, and when I say pick a niche, I'm not saying green projects are the only projects you have to be doing. What I'm saying is you've got a green project winning machine that you've built. And if you're a firm that has multiple markets, that's fine. You've got a green fishing rod, you've got a blue fishing rod, you've got a red fishing rod, but they're all a bit different depending on who, the green, red, and the blue fish. So anyway, she picked character homes. So these are villas in New Zealand, and they're all about 1900. And so we positioned her as New Zealand's lead. I said, does anyone else specialise in character homes? She said, I don't know anyone. I said, well, all right, well, then you're New Zealand's leading character home architect, aren't you? She said, well, I couldn't say that. And I said, well, why not? No one else specialises in it. Do you specialise in it? She said, well, I am now. It's all right. Well, let's call you that. And she said, but what will this is a key point. Listen to this, everybody. She said, but what will other architects say? Right? But isn't that how most of you guys think? What will my peers think? And she said, that they won't think that I'm a New Zealand's lead. That I can't say that because other architects will think, no, she's not New Zealand's leading. I said, what do we care about what they're not going to hire you. Why are we doing our marketing based on what other architects think? That's crazy. So anyway, we got over that mental hurdle, and I think she did because she picked up a whole lot of projects in that area, because she not only became a specialist, but presented herself as a specialist and as New Zealand's leading character home architect. She did become probably New Zealand's leading character home architect. And when you start getting a reputation as New Zealand's leading character home architect, then when someone wants to do a really good job, you are seen as the number one. So you start being more attractive to the top end of those they want the best. So the people who are spending the most money want someone who specializes in that type of project. And for them, money's not an object. I just want the best because I can afford the best. So there's not really any bad things. That doesn't mean if a blue project rings her up and says, do you want to do it? And she likes the look of it, she can still do the blue project. But her marketing system, her green fish catching system is designed for catching green fish and green fish only. And it does.
I love that. So that story really illustrates the power of being really clear on the niche and the type of projects that you're looking to work with. And I like that you shared there that to give some reassurance that people are listening. You're listening to this thinking, oh, but I can't niche down. I'm scared of niching down too far. It doesn't mean you don't do any other stuff. Yeah. It just, you can still take on other projects if you wish. It's just that marketing machine that you're building, that sort of client attracting machine, the system is going to be working to attract more of those right clients, the ones you really, really want more of. It's the green fishing rod for the,
green fish,
the green projects. Yeah. The green fish or the blue cod.
That's it.
We won't confuse them with the blue cod.
Let's just metaphors.
Keep it green. Too many metaphors, yeah. Oh, that's really interesting, Richard. Okay. What would be the main thing you'd like everyone to take away from this? Because we've covered quite a bit, but we've given them something that I think this is something that's actually you've laid it out in such a way that makes this quite simple for people, really. But what would be the main thing you want them to take away from what we've been discussing?
Well, I think the main thing is a lot of people would say marketing doesn't work for architects. And you know what? A bit like the projects, they're right. You're right. 99% of marketing doesn't work for architects. You know, you're not selling ice creams or guitars or cars even. You are selling a high-priced professional service. So most of the marketing that gets taught online or even anywhere. I mean, I went to university and did a marketing degree, and it taught me nothing about selling anything. It's very theoretical, very, very theoretical, and it's sort of corporate theory, like useless. So don't think that if you didn't go to university and do a marketing degree, you're at any disadvantage. All the marketing I learned was sort of after university. But so on one hand, I want to say, 99% of marketing doesn't work. You are right. You have wasted money. You've done too much social media. You've spent too much money on your website. You know, you've probably done too much cold calling and networking. But hopefully I've outlined the 1%. You know, this makes sense when you hear it. You go, oh my goodness, this is common sense, right? This is the 1% method that does work. And the only reason, it's not that I'm a genius or anything like this, but this is what I've been doing for 15 years, is just working with architects, helping them win better projects. So you see and you test enough stuff that sooner or later you start to notice things that do work. And so marketing does work for architects. You've got to get it just right, though. So have confidence. If you do the things that I discussed this today, you can, this is probably a podcast, and you can record it. You can go back. You can listen to it again. You can go onto our website. John gave us the URL earlier on. You can go. There's a whole lot of free resources on our website you can go and have a look at, or you can get coaching from us. But just go and watch this video again, because really I've mapped out everything you need to do at a high level. And if you've got that framework in mind, then you're stacking the odds in your favor of actually being able to put in place something that does actually work.
I love that. Thanks, Richard. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the topic that we haven't already covered?
I think architects, or a design business, you're only as good as the projects that you can win. So get very clear about what are the right projects and very clear about what are the wrong projects. And really your job is to it's as simple as that. Your job is to win more of the right projects so that you can say no to more of the wrong projects. And if you can do that, your income goes up. I think, your enjoyment, there's certain projects which you probably love doing. You want to be winning the projects that you love doing and that where you can earn a decent fee on. And that's your job, is find a way to win more of those ones, because if you're just taking stuff that's coming in the door, it can be a pretty difficult sort of a business to run. So it does come down. Actually, sorry, let me sum that up in one thing. Your first job, and a lot of people might not like this, but your number one job is you're a marketer of design services first. Right, that's your number one job. If you're a business owner, you're a marketer of design services first. Your second job is you're a designer, right? If you just say, oh, but I don't want to be a marketer of design services, I just want to be a designer, fine, go get a job, right? Get a job. Someone else will do the marketing and the sales for you. But if you're going to run a firm, you got to learn to win those projects first, and then you get to do them. But if you don't do job number one, which is win the right projects, then either there is no job number two of doing the design, or you're doing crummy design for crummy clients with crummy budgets. So your number one job, you're a marketer of design services first.
Oh, that makes so much sense, Richard. That's some tough love for everybody, but it's a message that they need to hear, because if we don't have enough of the right leads coming in, then you can't get to do the work on the projects that you love to work on. So if you want to be happier and more fulfilled in the work you do and get paid the type of fees that you deserve, you really need to, set some time and resources aside for that number one job of doing the marketing and winning those leads. I've got a question for you, Richard, just to wrap things up. It's not about the topic. I just love to travel and to discover new places. I was just wondering if you could tell me about one of your favourite places and what you love about it. And this could be near or far.
Sure. A couple of years ago, me and my wife, because I work online, I'm a bit like you, John. So I've got a laptop. My business is on the laptop. Pretty cool. And so I can be anywhere in the world. And my wife likes to travel. So we have a couple of rental properties, and a French couple rented one of our rental properties in Wellington in New Zealand. And it was on this sort of a home swap site. So they came and lived in our house one of our rental properties for 3 months. And they said, we've got a sort of a holiday house in the French Alps. Would you like to swap? Yeah. You mean, we don't pay anything. Yeah, you don't pay us. So anyway, we went to the French Alps. It was a place near Chamonix. It was called Solange. It was a little village about 20 minutes from Chamonix. So we were in the middle of the French Alps, not far from Geneva, not far from Chamonix, not far, just through the tunnel to Italy. And we were there for 3 or 4 months. So that was it's a mountain village in the French Alps. And then because of that, because we enjoyed it and the environment and it's right underneath Mont Blanc, right? And in the summer you can go swimming in the lake, but there's the glacier and the Mont Blanc up there covered in snow, and you're swimming in the. So anyway, we love the mountain sort of thing, and we moved to a place in New Zealand called Wanaka, which is sort of the New Zealand version of that. And we loved our time in France. We learned a little bit of French. We ate some of the French food and got into the French lifestyle, and just a great place to go to if you ever can.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. You know what? I've yet to make it to the Alps, and I love the mountains, which is crazy. Yeah. I live in the UK. It's actually not that far away. So definitely on my bucket list for sure. So, Richard, thanks again for joining me today. Really enjoyed the conversation, and I think this is just so valuable, what we've been talking about. Could you just remind everyone, where's the best place online to connect with you?
Well, if you go to our website is Arch Marketing, ARCH, marketing.org. Just go there. It's our website. There's a whole lot of offers there. There's a whole lot of there's lots of blogs that explain a lot of the concepts that I've explained today. Most of them they're all free. So go there and help yourself to all the free stuff. And if you find yourself wanting to upgrade, then it'll be very easy for you to do that on the website.
That's awesome. Thanks again, Richard.
Thank you, John.
Next time, I'm joined by Heidi Sutri to talk about long-term online strategies to build your visibility without burnout. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a glowing 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me and makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online, though, is on LinkedIn. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.